days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you, you give me something to believe in, just what I needed. You're the closest.
Michael in Los Angeles.
Hi, thank you for taking the call today.
Okay, are you gonna gaslight us?
There you go. Thank you for taking the call today.
Okay.
I have a really tough question for you, and I hope you,
Michael, do you have a tough question? No, I'm not gonna receive it. Because I want to know, first of all, what is your impetus? Because we're talking about mass shootings in schools that are predominantly not Black. Most of the mass shootings in this country happen at the hands of white men, and the victims are mostly white people, unless it's a race situation like Charleston or Buffalo. But according to the call screener, you're talking about inner city Black men. So
well,
I
you were asking. I know, but
I know. No. So I'm gonna challenge your premise before we get into. I'm willing to have a conversation, but I need to know that I'm dealing with somebody that's operating in honesty and humanity. I need to know.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I need to know that. Is that you or you?
No. Yes, very much. I'm a 65-year-old white guy from Los Angeles. Okay. I've born and raised in LA. So kind of got enough age that well-versed in where we've come from and where we are.
You can't be well-versed as a 65-year-old white man in America. You can't be well-versed. As a matter of fact, the very designation of you being or calling yourself a 65-year-old white man means you are probably very out of touch with the core root problems of anything in this country, because everything filters through a lens that is so warped and so single-minded in its view, because the source of it is you. So to have a perspective on something that you witnessed from the outside and may have contributed to on the inside, but won't ever take any responsibility for the contribution of that social pathology, right? But then we'll call up a radio show to ask a question about something. So I'm going to entertain the question. I am. But I just want to frame it because I have a lot of questions. First of all, how often do you listen to the show? Is this a daily routine of yours?
But I want to be honest so that we can have an honest conversation.
I need some ground rules and framework before we have an honest conversation. So I'm sussing it out. So you're either going to be patient enough to let me figure out who you are before we have this conversation, or you won't. So that's up to you. Okay, so
go ahead.
How often do you listen to this program, to Urban View?
Almost Monday through Friday.
Okay.
At some point.
Why?
Because I need to hear everybody's perspective, not just one perspective.
Mm-hmm. And to say a 65-year-old white man. So you've heard me ask the question, I'm sure. What makes you white? It's one of the things that I ask, because there's an association to an identity that speaks volumes about how you see the world.
Absolutely. We can't deny that.
Okay.
We can't deny that.
All right. So what is your question?
So my question is, again, with all respect for the tragedy that is, again, we're talking about today, which is the shooting at the schools. So the question I have, you had kind of posited it before you went to the break, and that is, why are we having this? Why do we have to have these conversations? Why do we have to have these shootings? Gun control, lack of gun control, and so forth. And my question really is about kind of a positive answer to this query is why we didn't have them in, probably, frankly, even younger than me, right? But we certainly didn't have it in 30, 40, 50 years ago with the propensity that we're having it over the last a decade or so. with regards to the shootings at schools and just mass shootings in general. I think that it's a lack of the family structure. Again, preface: I was 4 of the 5 children raised by a single mom. So I'm not ballyhooing about something I had and therefore the rest of the world doesn't have. I was raised, like I said, by a single mom in the project of Long Beach. So know a little bit about impoverishment and the lack of family structure, right? But I do believe that we have a huge propensity to see single moms, God's taken out of our culture, and young men are running the streets looking for a male figure, looking for a sense of togetherness, something that brings us together.
All right, and you think you're being thoughtful, right? I think you think you are being thoughtful.
Well, again, I have my own. I have my own.
I know.
Life.
Yes, and you don't see the problem with even framing this. Most of the mass shootings are at the hands of white men in this country. The last few had both their parents. Columbine, those kids had both their parents. They shot up their whole school. Maybe the young man at Sandy Hook did not have his dad, but he was white. Most of the mass shootings, whether we're talking about the one at the concert from the hotel window, the one at the club in Florida, I'm talking about the one at the church, the Jewish church in Pittsburgh. They were all white men with parents. You told the screener you had a question about inner city black men killing each other, which has nothing to do with what we're talking about. The mass shootings are at the hands. White men commit most of the mass shootings, most of the mass killings in this country are committed by white men who have both of their parents.
Evil is the evil part. Evil is the evil part.
So now you're pivoting, but you didn't call with that. So I'm again challenging you, and you could talk about evil and God and single mothers, and it feels like you think you're a Christian.
Evil part is not guns. It's the persons that choose to use them to kill other people.
Are you listening?
Are you listening?
I'm listening. You think you're a Christian, don't you?
You're preaching.
No, I'm not. I'm asking a question. I think there was a question mark at the end of that sentence. You think you're a Christian, don't you?
A couple hard questions that I want to hear.
Do you think you're a Christian, Michael?
Yes, I know I am. I don't need to think. I know I am.
No, because, so Christian is a follower of Christ, Jesus Christ, the resurrected. That's a Christian, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't recall I've studied this Bible probably more than you've read any book with people. Okay. I don't recall Jesus ever talking about single moms and gay. As a matter of fact, in every instance where Jesus happened upon very judgmental people, whether it was the woman, you're going to hear this out, Christian. Whether it was the woman that was about to be stoned for adultery, as if she wasn't cheating with a man, he wasn't about to be stoned. She was. Jesus was like, "Oh, this is interesting. So, what y'all doing? Oh, you gonna stone this woman? Oh, okay." And he starts writing on the ground. Okay. He who was without sin, cast the first stone. I'll wait. Everybody walked away one by one. The woman at the well who had several dalliances with different men to the point where she was a pariah. She's at the well. It's hot. Nobody wants to be around her. Jesus approaches her, which is so not appropriate for a single man to approach this woman who is kind of loose and kind of fast, probably a single mom, having a conversation with her when nobody else would. All manner of tax collectors and thieves hanging out with Jesus, to the point that the religious people thought he was more dangerous than Barabbas. Jesus was a radical thinker who didn't judge people, whether they were lepers women having their menstrual cycles, him, bleeding and touching the hem of his garment. He was not that guy. So why are you that guy, Michael?
Do you think that is? It's an honorable answer question.
Okay.
It's an honorable question.
It's not an honorable question. You're not honorable. The question's not honorable. You didn't call with honorable intentions. You called to cast aspersions on a group of people that you have no clue about how the condition of this happened. You act like Black people came here and brought all of this to no, we come from communities. We come from communities that actually look out for each other, villages that look out for each other, queen mothers that install kings, that install community, right? Like we come from that. This is unusual to have all of this kind of disparate way in which we treat one another. It is not natural to us. And the notion that a single mom, what is that even? There's no single mom in a village. The child is everybody's. We are our brother's keepers. We are in a village. We live in a global village where there's no single child and single mother and all of this, and the father not in the house. Black men take care of their children. They spend more time with their children than white people. White men, so-called white men, is a made-up construct. That is a fact. So even that notion, they're looking for a male figure. No, what they're looking for are resources that have been magically stripped from their community as they build highways through thriving communities like Mound Bayou in Mississippi, as they build a lake over community, Lake Lanier. Somebody else tried Lake Lanier this weekend, died. Lake Lanier full of Black bodies that some public planner decided, let's build a lake over people. I'm not even going to get into Rosewood and Greenwood and all of the thriving community, Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm not going to get into where we thrive. Here you come. Talking about, inner city Black youth and absentee fathers. Knock it off. Michael, you're not a Christian. I'm telling you that. You need to soul search, get in that Bible, read that stuff in red, get you a real Bible, NIV version or something. But this was not of Jesus. We'll be back.
My days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you, you give me something to believe in, just what I needed. You're the closest.